Hi everyone, today I'm going to read a story called Mr. Seahorse, and it's by Eric Carle. And in this book it's going to be a lot of different kinds of daddy fish and how they take care of their babies. Mr. and Mrs. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea. Mrs. Seahorse began to wiggle and twist this way and that. "It's time for me to lay my eggs," she said. "Can I help?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Oh, yes, thank you," said Mrs. Seahorse, and she laid her eggs in a pouch on Mr. Seahorse's belly. "I'll take good care of our eggs," said Mr. Seahorse. "I promise." As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed by a group of trumpet fish hidden in a patch of weeds. See, here are the trumpet fish, and here they're hiding. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Stickleback?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "I'm delighted," replied Mr. Stickleback. "I built the nest, and right away Mrs. Stickleback laid her eggs into it. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch." "Keep up the good work," said Mr. Seahorse as he swam away. And all the babies' eggs are in Mr. Seahorse's pouch. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a lionfish hidden in the coral reef. Can you see his eyes? Here he is. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Tilapia?" asked Mr. Seahorse. Mr. Tilapia couldn't answer. His mouth was full of eggs. "Oh, I know," said Mr. Seahorse. "Mrs. Tilapia laid her eggs. Now you're going to take good care of them until they hatch." Mr. Tilapia nodded his head. "You must be very happy," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam away. So look, he's going to keep the eggs in his mouth, not swallow them. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by several leaf fish hidden among the seaweeds. Can you see the fish? Here they are. Before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Curtis?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Perfectly fine," replied Mr. Curtis. "Mrs. Curtis laid her eggs, and I have them stuck on my head." See, all the eggs are on his head. "Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch." "You're doing a good job," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam away. Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea. He passed right by a stonefish hidden behind a rock. There he is. Look, Mr. Seahorse's belly is getting bigger and bigger. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Pipe?" replied Mr. Seahorse. "Couldn't be better," replied Mr. Pipe. "Mrs. Pipe laid her eggs along my belly. Now I'm going to take good care of them until they hatch." "You should feel very proud of yourself," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam away. The time had come for the seahorse babies to be born. Mr. Seahorse wiggled and twisted this way and that. At last, the babies tumbled from Mr. Seahorse's pouch and swam away. One baby turned around and tried to come back into the pouch. "Oh no," said Mr. Seahorse, "I do love you, but now you're ready to be on your own."